I am 81 years old, and all my teeth are still there. I do not wear dentures. I am not missing molars. I do not need implants. And every time I say it, people stare at me as if it were a miracle. I remember the last time I went to the dentist. He examined me calmly, in silence, until he looked up, took off his gloves and asked me, "How have you managed to keep your whole set of teeth at this age?" I smiled, not out of vanity, but because I knew what was coming. He asked me the same question that 3 other dentists had asked me before, and I gave him the same answer. It was not luck, it was discipline. Because this is not about genetics, it was not magic, and it does not mean I have never had problems. It is about habits, small daily gestures that I repeated every day for decades. Some I learned when I was young, others I discovered the hard way, by making mistakes. But all of them, absolutely all of them, I kept with a consistency that, over time, brought me here. Today I want to share those secrets, what I do every day, without fail. The things that have allowed me to keep my smile without pain, without prosthetics, and without fear. It is not too late to start. It does not matter if you are 60, 70, or even 90. What matters is that you take care of yourself today, because old age does not wait. So if you are interested in keeping your dental health until the end of your life, and doing it with dignity, without depending on anyone, stay with me. What I'm going to tell you may sound simple, but believe me, it works. And before we begin, I want to know something about you. How old are you, and where are you watching me from? Leave it in the comments. I would love to read you. The most dangerous myth, that losing your teeth is normal as you age. For many years I heard the same thing again and again. When you get old, it is normal to lose your teeth. That is life. After 70, we all have to get dentures. And so generation after generation, we accepted it as if it were a natural law, as if teeth came with an expiration date. But I did not believe it. And today, I am here to tell you something you may never have been told clearly. It is not old age, it is neglect. Having more years does not mean losing teeth. It does not mean living with gum pain or resigning yourself to mush. It does mean the body changes, yes, but it also means it needs more attention, more care, more awareness. I remember several friends from my generation. We all went to school together. We played in the same parks, ate the same food in the school cafeteria, and grew up in the same era. At 65, many of them were already wearing full dentures. Some had bridges. Others had resigned themselves to eating only soft things. And every time we saw each other, they told me with resignation, "Sure, you were lucky. I got weak teeth." But I knew them well. I knew that since we were young, they ate lots of sweets, that they skipped nighttime brushing, that they went to the dentist only when they felt pain. I ate sweets too. I made mistakes too. But I learned something essential. The difference was not in our teeth. It was in how we cared for them. There is a common mistake that harms us a lot. We believe that aging is synonymous with losing energy, losing memory, losing strength, and of course losing teeth. But when we accept that without questioning it, we stop fighting for what we can keep. The truth is that teeth do not fall out because you turn older. They fall out because tartar builds up, because gums become inflamed, because you do not give them the rest or the nourishment they need. They fall out from negligence, not from the calendar. Think about this. If a well-built bridge can last 100 years with maintenance, why not your teeth? They are bones. They are living structure. And like any part of your body, they respond to the treatment they receive. The problem is cultural. For decades, ads, dentists, even movies have made us believe that wearing dentures after a certain age is completely normal. But that normality is a comfortable excuse not to take responsibility. Of course, there are complex cases, illnesses, accidents, genetic conditions. Not everything depends only on what you do. But even in those cases, deterioration can be slowed. Damage can be controlled. There is always something we can do. There is always a step we can take. I did not reach 81 with all my teeth because I had privileged genetics. I have them because I decided, decades ago, that my teeth were part of my dignity, that I would not allow laziness, lack of attention, or routine to take them from me. So if anyone ever told you that losing teeth is simply part of getting old, do not believe it. Do not accept as fate what you can avoid with discipline. It is not old age. It is neglect. Secret 1. I never went to bed without brushing my teeth. If I had to choose one single habit responsible for the fact that I still have all my teeth at 81, it would be this. Never, not a single night, did I go to bed without brushing my teeth. It may sound exaggerated, it may seem like a rigid rule, but it was my greatest act of self-love, repeated every day for decades. You see, during the day while you eat, talk, drink water, or even breathe through your mouth, there is constant movement. Saliva circulates, bacteria move, the flow helps clean residues. But when you go to sleep, everything slows down. Saliva production drops, the mouth becomes drier, and that environment becomes a perfect banquet for the bacteria that cause cavities, infections, bad breath, and gum disease. That is why the most important time to brush your teeth is not in the morning, it is at night. And yet it is the one most people skip. Many come home tired from the day, others forget. Some think it is not serious because tomorrow they will brush well when they wake up. But every time you lie down without properly cleaning your mouth, you give those bacteria 8 hours of free work. And the worst part, you do it without noticing, night after night, until one day, you lose a molar, and then another. I learned it early, thanks to my grandmother. She used to tell me, "Before you go to bed, wash your soul, and your teeth as well." That phrase stuck with me like a sacred command. My nighttime routine has always been simple but firm. First, a rinse with warm water to remove the day's debris, then a soft bristled brush, never hard, because enamel does not grow back. I use fluoride toothpaste but without harsh chemicals. I brush for 2 minutes, unhurried, side by side, gums, tongue, palate, and then I floss, even if I am tired. Lastly, a gentle rinse with water and salt, which helps deflate the gums and keep infections away. It does not take me more than 5 minutes, but it has spared me pain, expenses, treatments, and above all, the sadness of watching my mouth deteriorate. I remember one night in particular. I had come back from a long trip, dead tired. It was almost 2 in the morning. I took off my shoes, lay down on the bed, and closed my eyes. And just before falling asleep, I heard that little voice in my head. "You did not do it today." I stayed quiet for a few seconds. I fought against sleep. I almost convinced myself that once will not matter. But I got up. I went to the bathroom. I brushed. It was not easy. But when I finished and looked in the mirror, I felt something very clear. I had not broken my word to myself. It may seem small, but that is where everything begins. In those commitments nobody sees, but you do feel. And every time you keep one, your body is grateful. Your teeth too. Secret 2. The rinse I use is not store-bought. For many years I was surprised to see how many older people tried hard to care for their teeth, using products that were actually harming them. And I'm talking especially about commercial mouthwashes, the ones that promise fresh breath, deep cleaning, whiter teeth, healthy gums, in just 30 seconds. But there is something the label never tells you. Many of them are full of alcohol, dyes, and chemicals that, over time, can do more harm than good. I saw it up close with a good friend, Elijah. He was 73 when he started using a brand name rinse, recommended by an ad he saw on television. At first he was happy. He said his mouth felt burning clean, but within weeks he began to notice receding gums, more sensitive teeth, and a constant burning that would not go away. He went to the dentist. The diagnosis? Severe irritation from excessive use of abrasive products. He had to stop everything and begin a treatment to try to repair the damage. I, on the other hand, have been using a simple, natural formula for more than 40 years, with no side effects. And I am sharing it with you today because you do not need to spend large amounts or rely on artificial flavors to keep your mouth healthy. My homemade rinse has 3 main ingredients: warm water, sea salt, and baking soda. Sometimes, if I want an extra refreshing or antibacterial effect, I add a few drops of peppermint or tea tree essential oil. But the base has always been the same, the simple, the natural, what does not intoxicate. Here is how I prepare it each week. In a large cup of warm water, I dissolve 1 level teaspoon of sea salt and half a teaspoon of baking soda. I mix well until there are no lumps. If I want to reinforce the antibacterial effect, I add 3 drops of tea tree or peppermint essential oil. Never more. Just a few drops are enough. I store it in a dark glass jar with a lid, and I keep it away from direct light. Every night after brushing, I take a sip, swish for 30 seconds, and spit it out. I do not swallow it. I do not rinse with water afterward. This rinse has helped me keep my gums firm, my breath fresh, and above all, avoid inflammation. And the best part is that I have never felt burning, dryness, or side effects. I know for some this may sound like a grandmother's remedy, but tell me something. How many grandmothers did you know who lived into their 90s without dentures? I knew several, and they all had something in common. They trusted the natural, the homemade, what the body understands. Commercial rinses can have their place. I do not demonize them. But if you do not have specific problems, if your mouth is healthy and you just want to keep it that way, then try something gentler, more friendly to your body. Oral health is not just about eliminating bacteria. It is about creating a balanced environment where those bacteria do not get out of control. And for that, sometimes less is more. Secret 3. What I eat protects my teeth. I have always believed the mouth is not only for talking or smiling, it is also for building health from the inside out. Because everything we eat passes through it. And what you choose to put in your mouth every day can strengthen or weaken your teeth. That's simple. Many are surprised that I talk about food when I explain how I kept my teeth intact. But the truth is, my diet has been one of the biggest keys. What I eat not only feeds my body, it also nourishes my gums, my enamel, my bones, my tongue. Teeth, though hard, are not immune to time. They wear down, they weaken, they become more porous. And to protect them, the body needs certain key nutrients. Among them, 3 that should never be missing: calcium, to maintain the hardness of dental enamel and strengthen the jawbones; vitamin D, which helps absorb calcium and prevent bone loss; magnesium, which acts as a stabilizer and improves muscle and nerve function in the jaw. Many think of milk when they hear calcium, and that is not wrong. But you can also find it in broccoli, almonds, sesame seeds, tofu, and even sardines with bones. Vitamin D, for its part, I get from the sun, but also from eggs, oily fish, and occasionally from natural supplements, especially in winter. And magnesium. I find it in oatmeal, pumpkin seeds, bananas, and the spinach I like so much. But beyond nutrients, there is something that has worked for me all my life: eating foods that require chewing. Yes, chewing. Because the act of biting and grinding stimulates the gums, strengthens the jaw, and naturally cleans the teeth. That is why my kitchen is never without crunchy fruits like apples or pears, nor carrots, celery, cucumbers, nor nuts or seeds, which are not only tasty, but also excellent for massaging the gums as you chew. I will share something personal. This is what I eat for breakfast almost every day, and I would not trade it for anything. A cup of oatmeal cooked in water with a handful of chia and flaxseed, half a crisp apple cut into cubes with a bit of cinnamon, 1 boiled or scrambled egg with spinach, and a cup of herbal tea without sugar. Do you know what you will not see on my table? Sodas, artificial juices full of sugar, coffee with condensed milk or with spoonfuls of sugar, white bread, the kind that dissolves in your mouth but leaves residue between your teeth, ultra-processed cookies. None of that has a place in my daily life. I will not lie to you. Now and then I treat myself. A piece of cake, a roll, a strong coffee with milk. But that is not what I consume every day. It is not my base. My base is made of foods that build up, not that destroy. And it is not a matter of money. What I am telling you is accessible. These are decisions, small changes that over time have enormous effects. Secret 4. The way I chew changes everything. One of the secrets that has most surprised those who listen to me is this: the way you chew can change your oral health completely. It is not only about what you eat, but how you eat it. For years, I myself did not give it importance. I chewed like everyone else, fast, distracted, while talking, while watching television, while thinking about anything, except what I was doing. Until one day, during a routine dental checkup, the dentist looked at me with a raised eyebrow and said, "Did you know you have more wear on the teeth on your right side?" I froze. I had never noticed. So for several days, I watched myself while eating. And there was the answer. I chewed almost always on the right side. It was my strong side, the comfortable side, the one I used without thinking. And the result was that part of my dentition was more worn, the gums a bit more sensitive, and the muscles slightly tenser. From that moment, I made a decision to start chewing consciously, and not only on the right, but in a balanced way, using both sides. Because chewing well not only avoids uneven wear, it also has benefits many people do not know. It protects enamel, since rushed, one-sided chewing wears some teeth more than others. It exercises the jaw, strengthening the muscles that support your bite and keeping circulation active in that area. It stimulates the gums, helping prevent recession and keeping them oxygenated. And what few know, it improves digestion. Because digestion does not begin in the stomach, it begins in the mouth. The better you grind your food, the easier it is for the body to process it afterward. Since then, every time I sit down to eat, I take a deep breath and start slowly. I take each bite calmly. I chew at least 20 times before swallowing. And above all, I alternate sides. If I start chewing on the left, the next bite I switch to the right. Sometimes I even close my eyes to concentrate, to listen to my body, to return the respect it deserves. I know many will tell me that takes time, and yes, it is true. Eating like this requires patience, but it also gives you something in return: presence, peace, and health. Besides, this way of chewing helps you detect problems early. When you chew attentively, you notice if something hurts, if something crunches, if a tooth is looser or more sensitive. It is a way to check your mouth without mirrors, simply by listening to it from inside. Here is a practical tip if you want to start balancing your chewing. At your next meal, try counting how many times you chew each bite. Not obsessively, just to become aware. If you discover you always use a single side, set yourself the goal of using the other side for 2 days in a row. At first it will feel strange, even uncomfortable, but your body will adjust. Make chewing a sacred moment. Turn off the television. Put the phone away. Chew as if it were the last meal you are going to savor. Because every time you chew like that, you are protecting more than your teeth. You are caring for your life. Over the years, I learned that the simplest things are the most powerful. And chewing well, slowly and mindfully, has been one of the best decisions I have made to keep my smile. Common mistake 1: aggressive brushing. For many years, I too believed a lie, that to clean teeth well, you had to brush hard. I thought the more I pressed the toothbrush, the cleaner my gums would be. That if a little blood came out, it was a sign I was getting all the dirt out. And of course, that is what many still believe. But let me tell you something that changed my life. Brushing hard does not clean better. It wears more. I learned it the hard way. More than 20 years ago, I went to the dentist because of a strange sensitivity in my front teeth. I thought it was a cavity, or maybe something I had eaten. But the dentist examined me calmly, and after a few minutes he said, "You do not have cavities. What you have is worn enamel from brushing too hard." I sat in silence. Brushing was damaging me. He explained that dental enamel, though strong, is not indestructible, and when you scrape it every day with force, with a hard bristled brush, and with violent strokes, you are not cleaning. You are sanding. It is like trying to clean a wooden table with sandpaper. Yes, you remove the dirt, but you also take off the surface. From then on, I completely changed the way I brushed. First, I changed my brush. I left the hard bristled ones, the ones that promise whiteness and strength, and chose soft or ultra-soft bristles. Many think those are useless, that they do not clean well. But in reality, What cleans is not hardness, but technique. I will share the one I have used ever since. I moisten the brush with a little water. I apply a moderate amount of toothpaste. There is no need to cover the whole brush. I place the brush at a 45-degree angle, right at the junction of gum and tooth. Instead of long, forceful strokes, I make small, gentle, circular motions. I go around the whole mouth, unhurried. Outer surfaces, inner surfaces, molars, tongue. It takes me between 2 and 3 minutes. Sometimes I play a short song so I do not rush. The result was immediate. After a few weeks, the sensitivity disappeared. And the best part, my gums stopped bleeding, my breath improved, and I began to feel that I was truly caring for my mouth instead of punishing it. I also understood a very important difference no one had taught me. Brushing is not scrubbing with force. It is caressing with firmness. Many people think cleanliness depends on effort, but the mouth is not a pot you scour with steel wool. It is sensitive tissue, delicate, full of nerve endings. And if you mistreat it, it will make you pay sooner or later. Today, every time someone tells me their teeth loosened, their gums hurt, that they have sensitivity to cold or heat, I ask the same thing. What brush do you use? And how do you do it? Because the problem is not always what you eat. Sometimes it is what you repeat every day in front of the mirror, without realizing you are harming yourself. So if you are hearing this and you use a hard brush, or you feel that when you brush your teeth you are fighting with your mouth. Common mistake 2. Ignoring bleeding gums. There was a time when I thought a little blood while brushing was normal. I probably pressed a bit too hard, I told myself. Or, the gum is a little sensitive, nothing serious. And so I ignored it. 1 week, then 2, then months. Until one day, when I bit into an apple, I saw something that shook me inside. A red line in the bite. The blood was no longer coming out only with the toothbrush. Now it appeared even when eating. I went to the dentist, and there I heard it for the first time, clear and direct. What you have is the beginning of periodontitis. If we do not treat it now, you could start losing gum, and then teeth. I fell silent. How was that possible if I had no pain, if I brushed every day? And the answer was clear, because I let something pass that I should never ignore. Bleeding. It happens to many. They brush, see a little blood in the sink and let it slide. They think it is part of aging, or stress, or a new brush. But the truth is that a little blood is never normal. Never. Healthy gums do not bleed. And when they do, it is because something is inflamed, irritated, infected, or damaged. Gingivitis, that word that sounds technical and distant, is actually the silent first stage of tooth loss. It starts with a little redness, then slight bleeding, then gums that recede. And when you want to react, the tooth has already lost its support. After that visit to the dentist, I completely changed my approach. I never overlooked a signal again. My daily routine now includes 3 key steps to prevent inflammation. Gentle but thorough brushing, twice a day, paying special attention to the gum line. It is not enough to scrub the teeth. You must clean where the gum begins. Flossing every night, even if there is no trapped food. Floss not only cleans, it also stimulates the gums and removes bacteria you cannot see. Natural rinsing with warm water and salt, especially at night. This helps reduce inflammation and keep the oral environment balanced. And when I notice something odd, persistent redness, a small discomfort, a drop of blood, I do not wait. I make an appointment. I get checked. Because I learned that the mouth does not warn with shouts. It warns with whispers. And if you do not listen to those whispers, laments will come later. I also learned it is not about becoming obsessed, but about paying attention. Looking at the sink after brushing. Noticing how the gums feel when chewing. Running your tongue along the gum and noticing whether it is firm or if it hurts to touch. You do not need to be a dentist to detect signs. You only need to know yourself, respect yourself, and not ignore little alarms. Today, after so many years, I can proudly say my gums are firm, without bleeding, without inflammation. And it was not luck. It was a decision. Common mistake 3, relying only on the dentist once a year. For a long time, I heard acquaintances say proudly, "I go to the dentist every year," and they said it as if that were enough, as if, by going once every 12 months, the mouth became blessed by magic, as if the dentist could fix in one appointment everything that was not cared for at home the rest of the year. And I do not judge them. I myself thought that way when I was younger. I believed the annual visit was the most important thing, the big moment to set everything right. Until I understood a truth that changed my perspective completely. The dentist cannot brush your teeth for you. He cannot floss for you either, nor rinse your mouth every night, nor watch what you eat, nor observe whether your gums bleed, or whether you chew on only one side, or whether you are using the wrong brush. The dentist can help. He can detect, prevent, treat. But your mouth's health is built every day, in your bathroom, in front of the mirror, when no one is watching. A conversation with my own dentist made this clear to me more than 20 years ago. I went for a checkup, expecting him to tell me that everything was fine, as always. And it was. But just before finishing the appointment, he told me something that stuck with me. "You have not had cavities for 2 decades, and it is not because of me. It is because of what you do at home." There I understood the power of the everyday, because it is not just about brushing more or less well. It is about having a hygiene routine that is complete, consistent, and conscious. Here is mine, which I have kept for years. Brushing twice a day with a soft bristled brush for at least 2 minutes. Flossing every night, without exception, no matter how tired I am. Homemade natural rinse, which I already told you about earlier. A visual check in front of the mirror once a week with good light. I look at my gums, my tongue, my palate. If something looks different, I note it down. A clean, dry toothbrush always. I let it air out. I change it every 3 months, and I never share it. This does not take me more than 10 minutes a day, but those 10 minutes, repeated every day for years, have made a huge difference. Thanks to that consistency, I have not had a cavity in more than 20 years. No infections, no loose teeth, no costly treatments. And every time I go to the dentist, the visit is short, without surprises, almost like a meeting between old friends. That does not mean the dentist is not important. He is, but his work only bears fruit if you do yours first. It is like wanting a gardener to keep your garden beautiful, but you never water, never remove dead leaves, never prune. What good is a yearly visit if everything else is neglected? So today I invite you to change your mindset. Do not think of the dentist as the savior. Think of him as the ally who helps only if you also do your part. And if they are not cleaned daily, they turn into hotspots of bad breath, inflamed gums, and over time, hidden cavities that destroy from within. I myself did not use it regularly until I turned 55. It was my wife who insisted. And at the beginning, I confess, I did it wrong, in a rush, with jerky movements, hurting my gums. I hated it. But everything changed the day I decided to learn to use it well. I sat in front of the mirror. I took my time. I watched an educational video, practiced patiently, and little by little made it a natural part of my nighttime routine. And what happened next was incredible. In just a few weeks, my breath improved noticeably. It is not that it smelled bad before, but there was a clear difference. My mouth felt fresher, cleaner, even upon waking. The gums stopped bleeding, and at my next visit to the dentist, he said, "It is obvious you are flossing. There is less tartar between the teeth, less inflammation. Keep it up." Since then, I have not missed a single night. Here is step by step how I do it. I cut a length of floss about 40 centimeters long. I wind it around the middle fingers of each hand, leaving a free section of about 5 centimeters. With my thumbs and index fingers, I guide it gently between the teeth. Once in, I slide it against one side of the tooth, forming a sort of C, and move it up and down gently. Then I do the same on the other side of the space. I use a clean section of floss for each tooth until I finish the whole mouth. It does not take me more than 3 or 4 minutes, but it is time I invest to avoid cavities, infections, and costly problems later on. As for the type of floss, I have tried several. Waxed floss is more comfortable for me because it slides better between the teeth. But there are also flatter tapes, ideal for those who have very tight spaces. The important thing is not the brand, nor the price. The important thing is that you use it every day, with no excuses. I always carry a small roll in the inner pocket of my jacket. It has saved me more than once in meetings, trips, dinners, because it is not about a rigid routine. It is about awareness, caring for your mouth at any time, anywhere. Some people say to me, "But I am already older. Why start now?" And I answer, it is never too late to save what you still have. It is never too late to smell better, to feel cleaner, to care for what others have already lost. If you are hearing this today and you have never truly used dental floss, give it a chance. How your dental health affects your whole body. For a long time, I believed teeth were a local matter, that toothaches only affected the mouth. But I discovered something perplexing. Oral health affects your entire body. I learned it from a cardiologist friend of my son. He told me, people with inflamed gums have a higher risk of heart disease. Inflammation in the mouth can affect the arteries. The bacteria under the gums enter the bloodstream, circulate, and act where they find weakness. There is also a link between dental health and memory loss. Chronic oral inflammation is associated with faster cognitive decline. How can a body be well if its main entrance is constantly sick? In my case, I never suffered chronic oral pain, deep infections, or radical treatments. I believe that influenced my overall well-being, good digestion, sleep, and concentration. I have seen friends lose weight from not chewing well, become depressed from constant pain, and suffer serious illnesses that began with minor infections. Caring for your teeth is not only caring for your smile, it is caring for your life. It is self-love and a quiet investment that pays back in health, dignity, and well-being. The perfect morning, my step-by-step routine. I get up between 6 and 6:30 without an alarm. The first thing is my oral routine. First, warm water. A large glass in slow sips wakes the digestive system and activates salivation. Second, brushing. Soft bristled brush, toothpaste the size of a lentil, circular motions along the gum line. I start with the outer surfaces of the upper teeth, then lower, inner surfaces and tongue. 2.5 minutes without rushing. Third, natural rinse with warm water, salt, and drops of peppermint or clove essential oil. Swish for 30 to 40 seconds. Fourth, food. I wait a few minutes before breakfast. I include crunchy fruits, whole grain bread, low-fat cheese, and a hot infusion. I avoid refined sugars and industrial juices. Fifth, floss after breakfast, making sure each space between teeth is clean. It takes me less than 10 minutes, but it has given me decades with my teeth. What you should change today. Oral health is a choice. It does not matter your age or whether you have already lost teeth. Today you can start taking better care of yourself. 1. Use dental floss every night for 7 days. Your breath will change and your gums will feel firmer. 2. Switch to a soft bristled toothbrush. Gums need care, not aggression. 3. Try a natural rinse with warm water and salt or peppermint clove essential oil before bed. 4. Chew consciously, slowly, using both sides. Protect teeth and gums and improve digestion. 5. Look at your mouth weekly in good light. If you see something odd, do not ignore it. You do not need to do it perfectly. Just start. It is never too late to improve, to recover what was lost, and to tell yourself, I deserve to feel good. I am not a dentist, just an older person who never stopped caring for his smile. At 81, I still have all my teeth. I wanted to share my experience because some things are learned only with time. This is not only about teeth, it is about living better, with dignity, confidence, and joy. Thank you for choosing to take a little better care of yourself starting today.